short card, the joker. So I would now count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, and I know that I've now hit the end of the heart stack, and now you said 5 of diamonds, so I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there I am. I've got the 5 of diamonds, so my work is over. Of course, while that's going on, the spectator is genuinely shuffling and then taking out any card he wants, which in this case can only be the 10 of spades, which is the card that I had written down for him, because he only has 10s of spades to choose from. By the time the denouement is accomplished, those 2 cards are sitting on the table and everything else can be put back into the card case and put away. So we end up with clean materials on the table and a reasonably strong effect.
Could you show us the box more fully? Can you take it apart?
Yeah, sure. It's rubber cemented together. It shouldn't be too hard to get it back the way it was. What I did was to peel the cards, the box apart in the first place. Let me just get rid of that. And here's the box opened out. And then I peeled off an entire layer of this inside just to make this thinner and make it receive the impression more easily. And then I glued around the edges and taped over here to make it stay in place a piece of carbon paper. And that's the work. And then I simply carefully glued it all back together and we were ready to go.
How often do you think you have to change the carbon paper if you did this rather regularly?
I can't answer that because I don't know how you define regularly. You know, if someone works a restaurant like you might be doing it 20 times a night. Someone else working regularly is to do it 20 times a year. So there isn't an answer to that. You just have to keep track of it, and if you start getting weak impressions, better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Envelopes.
You like saying that.
I do.
Yeah. This actually started with a Carl Fulvis effect called tenvelopes, which was a very interesting thing he came up with in 1989 in a book of his called Prototype that was essentially a poker deal. And what was a very curious and clever conceit was that it used envelopes which apparently had a card in each, but actually half of the envelopes had 2 cards and the other half of the envelopes were empty. And I thought that was a terrific idea, and it occurred to me that there were different directions to go with that starting point. So what I've done is to combine this situation of envelopes that are twice filled and envelopes that are empty with the Gilbreth principle, which is a mathematical thing. We don't have time to explain why it works, but it is a thing of terrifying beauty. So I've got 10 envelopes, and 5 of them have 2 matching cards inside, and 5 of them have nothing inside. They're empty. These are made out of a reasonably stiff construction paper, and the reason for that is not only that they should be opaque, but also that the average person who feels the envelopes is not aware that some are full and some are empty, but I can feel the difference because I know what I'm feeling for. But when I hand these to a spectator to shuffle, they mix them as they like, and they don't know that some of them are empty, because they're thick enough that unless you're really trying to feel that quality, you wouldn't know. Fair enough?
Mm-hmm. And there are no flaps.
Well, no, because I'm going to dump them out, the cards out in a moment, so that's why. Also, I should point out that to keep people from getting a premature peek inside, I keep the openings toward myself. Now, I'm going to lay these out into 2 piles, and apparently, having just been shuffled by the spectator, I now apparently randomly deal them down. What I'm actually doing is to construct 2 alternating groups. One group is going to alternate full, empty, full, empty, full, and the other group is going to alternate empty, full, empty, full, empty. And I can do this because I can feel the cards. So that, for example, here's an empty one, I can feel that. So I deal that down, and here's a full one, I can feel that. Okay? I come back here, here's an empty and a full and an empty. And it just seems like I'm sort of haphazardly dealing a pile. And similarly, here's a full, here's an empty, here's a full, here's an empty, here's a full. It takes almost no time, almost no effort, and almost no concentration to arrange this situation. It doesn't matter which group is empty, full, empty, full, empty, and which group is in the opposite. It just matters that you have the situation as just described. Now I'm going to have the spectator select the top card of either pile, the top envelope, I should say, and so go ahead and do that.
This one.
All right. Now this happens to be an empty envelope. I now ask you to select the top card of either pile, and because of the Gilbreth principle, whichever pile you pick, it has to be full. It is impossible using this selection procedure to get anything other than a pair of envelopes wherein one is full and one is empty. So which group do we do?
Yeah.
And that is a full one. And you can actually feel the difference and you know. All right, now we'll try it again.
Oh, that one is.
Okay, this one and?
Again.
All right, and I have one empty and one full.
This one.
And
that one.
all right, and again, the same situation. That's empty, that's full. Go ahead.
Two from here.
Both from here, empty, full. And the last two, full, empty. So by the virtue of this lovely mathematical reality, we have forced a situation whereby each pair consists of one full envelope and one empty envelope. So now it's just a question of acting like I'm taking two cards out of separate envelopes when in fact I'm taking two cards out of the same. So I take out a card, and then apparently I blow open the second envelope, and I go right back where I started and take out another card. Now I can hand the envelopes to a spectator to examine because they are both empty, and I have two matching cards. I repeat this 4 more times, and then I stand back and let people applaud.
Okay, here we go.
Aren't you going to try and pronounce the name of this one?
Absolutely not.
Yes, Kurotsuke. This is a piece that I came up with in the early 1980s, and I've held on to it ever since. One of the things I like about it, it's not a bad little performance piece. It involves a lot of people, and it's entirely impromptu. There's nothing special about the materials. The bag can be any type of bag. You can borrow a bag to do this. And the items do not have to be fancy. Not that these are terribly fancy, but they could be marbles, they could be coins, they could be balls of paper with one having an X on it. There are all sorts of ways you can go about this. So you can literally put this together whenever and however you like, using whatever is available. In this case, I've used stones from a children's board game. You can use marbles, and there are various other fancy things you can buy if you want to do that. This is a type of routine that has been explored by many people over the years. Who's got what type of thing, in this case specific to finding 1 out of 5. The challenge here is as follows. I don't suppose it'll surprise you to know that I'm holding back the black one. When I take the 5, I simply keep hold of the black stone and hold it up against the mouth of the bag, so that when the first people start picking, they have to be getting white stones. However, that only works for the first 3 people, because the 4th person, if they reach in, they're going to feel there's only 1. The people before that are not going to know that it's 1 short. You can't, in the quick action of reaching in, you can't tell that there's 1 missing. But now this last person is going to reach in, this 4th person, and realize there's only 1 stone, and the game's over. So that's what makes this interesting. And what happens? Well, here's what happens. After the 3rd person has chosen their stone, in shaking the bag on my way to the 4th person, I drop the black stone. So now the black and 1 of the whites are remaining in the bag. So the 4th person takes out 1, and so does the 5th person, and I don't know which of them has which. The bag at this point is empty. I can tear it up and crumple it up and throw it away. We're only interested in the stones. And all I know is that the black stone is in the possession of either the 4th or the 5th person. Now, I've deliberately not gone sequentially in a row. I've deliberately gone sort of back and forth with my people so that it's not totally clear who was in the final position, who was in the 4th position, and so forth, and that's of some value. But I now only know that the 4th person may have the black one or the 5th person. So how do I deal with this? And the answer is through verbal subterfuge. I explained that the nature of the game, which, by the way, has nothing to do with any imperial court of Japan, Heian or otherwise, and if you find a different ethnic background you'd like to give to this game, by all means, do so with my blessing. But I explained that the game is to try and find the black one, and I also point out that in order to do that, I have to eliminate the 4 white stones. I then, after a moment's concentration, suddenly spin around to person number 4 and say, "Show us your stone." Now, the person does, and if they have the black stone, the routine's over. I've done what I promised to do. I have found the person with the black stone. Everybody applauds. The white stones are revealed to be in the other people's possessions, and everybody goes home happy. If, however, as was the case in the performance that was video